So what is emotional capacity, and what are some of the ways that you could develop your emotional threshold?
Well, in basic terms, emotional capacity is your capacity for containing your emotions, containing your anger, your joy. Because again, I don't want to limit it to saying it's just how much anger you can contain,
Yeah.
right? Or before you explode,
Right.
or how much joy it's joy too. It's any kind of emotional charge, right? We have emotional charges that occur based on how we are interpreting the world around us. So we can get incredibly excited in any direction, psychosomatic, psycho, logically, just basically, any way that we can interpret information that creates in the body some type of visceral response, which even could be sexual. That's why I'm trying to allude to all the possible realms and ways in which you could contain some type of charge and how it might be expressed. So a lot of times people will just think of your emotional capacity as specific to anger, just being upset.
Right.
But really it's how you contain any excitement, because excitement can be negative or positive depending on the charge. Let's just play with it as like an electrical charge, negative or positive charge. So oh man, this is a positive charge. I'm feeling, oh my God, I'm so excited. It's like remember, the old video of watching like the young girls watching the Beatles and literally crying, and screaming and passing out.
Yeah.
From the visceral response of excitement, of a positive charge, if you will. And then the same thing could be said of someone who's so upset, so angry, so volatile that they lose their awareness of who they are or where they're at, or even maybe they even have a physical heart attack, or they have some type of, acute, something acute occurs, like I said, with a heart attack from that. So the negative, charge, it's so fascinating, really, how we could be, how we are containers for these visceral charges. We're just we hold them, and then the next thing that we do is we interpret it. Our brain is interpreting this, and then it releases it somehow. So if you want to develop your emotional threshold or your emotional capacity, it's going to be developed by your ability to witness how you're perceiving, two things: how I'm expressing something because of the way I'm perceiving it. So first, one must be able to sit down and be self-critical. I have to say, okay, it seems that this situation really, I have a very, very small container for it. As soon as this person says this to me or does this, I'm immediately reacting. And so that your emotional, threshold has been met. Your emotional capacity has been, has spilled over, and it's gone now. And so, what occurs from you losing the container, from you containing, is of course possibly anything from you, as I said, passing out from being overwhelmed to killing a person.
Sure.
You know, you could do anything. You could go any extreme.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, in the judicial system, we have a distinction between premeditated murder and manslaughter.
Yeah. First degree, second degree.
That's it. And so and the reason that's there is because literally some people do not premeditate that they're going to kill someone. They
Right.
lose their shit completely, kill a person, and in the eyes of the law and of people, because the law is interpreted by people and was created by people, people actually see that as less horrific than if you premeditated, thought, planned, and carried out murder.
Yeah.
Because that's you had time to think about it.
Yeah.
You had time to reconsider. You had time to have some self-reflection and empathy and conscience applied to it.
Yeah.
But if you kill a person in a moment because you come home and you catch them in bed with the person you love and you just lose your shit and murder them, okay, well, that's a little more understandable. And it's understandable in a way because human beings are notoriously reactive.
Yeah.
Which is why we're more forgiving toward that.
Yeah.
We even almost understand it.
Yeah.
Like
you can relate to it.
We can relate to it because even if you didn't kill somebody, you can relate to wanting to kill them.
Right.
You can relate to thinking about killing them.
Yeah.
You know, you can relate to all. You can relate to wishing that person the worst. You know, so you can relate to losing your emotional capacity. You know, we understand it. But what we're talking about right now is how to expand it. And expanding emotional capacity is the ability to unpack and deconstruct and dissect, you know, what your triggers are. You have to be able to sit down and say, what do I believe about this that is causing me to feel so unsafe? Because at the end of the day, you're going to find if you take emotional reaction and you lift it up, underneath it, there's going to be fear.
Right.
You're afraid of something.
Yeah.
When you start to deconstruct fear, when you start to understand fear, like, why am I afraid? What is this? What do I think could happen to me? You know, when you start to do that work, what you understand is you at least can begin to understand if in fact it's absolutely true.
Right.
Because there are very few times that something's absolutely true.
Correct. Yeah.
Most of the time, things are relatively true.
Yeah.
So this is one of the benefits of sort of working with the tool of absolute versus relative, is that, you know, is this absolutely true? If I lose this job, is it absolutely true that I won't have another job? Is it absolutely true I'll be on the street? Because my fear is I'm going to I won't be able to get another job and I'm going to be on the street.
Yeah.
That's my fear. Is that absolutely true? Well, no. Okay, it's not absolutely true.
Yeah.
Good. Well, that's a good starting point, because that means already there's more possibility on the table.
Yeah. Which is such a strong fear in the area of love, of losing a partner and feeling like you'll never be able to find another love again like them.
Absolutely true.
Right. Yeah.
In the sense of, it's absolutely true that is a great, analogy for that. Because at the end of the day, and the reason I say it's absolutely, and I'm playing, the reason is I think it's true, is that it's a place where we can quickly do this kind of work. This kind of work is sometimes hard to do because we can't see where it's coming up, where it's identified. So it feels a bit more maybe ambiguous or esoteric. It's like, oh, where do I start this kind of work? It's like anytime you get upset, you stop and you observe. Well, first, what you see is if you got upset and you reacted beyond what you think is necessary, then you've sort of gone beyond your emotional capacity.
Yeah.
You extended beyond it. Okay. Now that I've seen that, I now want to stop and I want to go into a state of deep concentration where I actually look at what made me afraid. Something I believe is making me afraid, and that's causing me to react that way. So, you know, it reminds me that, like, as an example, if you have a partner and your partner's doing something and you're just losing your complete cool around it, and you're like, man, what is this about? It's not that I'm afraid to lose the partner. It could be that you're afraid to be stuck with the partner. Okay. You're afraid to be stuck in that cycle for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So that's making you angry.
Yeah.
Your fear is, I've been sentenced to this.
Yeah.
For the next 100 years or whatever. And so your fear is not losing them. It's not replacing them.
It's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's being trapped
Yeah.
with them. So we can we can find fear, in many shapes and forms in this manner, but that's the key to understanding emotional capacity, is to just understand that it's just a way of it's a blanket term for saying something like, oh, look, it looks like you have gone beyond your emotional limits. Your emotional capacity, your emotional threshold has been, again, it's been broken. The container, you've spilled over. Okay, cool. This is just a phrase, but the real work begins when you start critically thinking through it.
Yeah.
And you start, getting your tools out and saying, okay, was this necessary? Was it, what do I believe? Is that absolutely true or not absolutely true?
Yeah.
And when you start doing that work, you start figuring out where you are in this, and that helps you to start reframing and you reframe your belief, which helps you rewire your relationship with it neurologically.
Yeah.
This whole neural pathway that you've been in the habit of reacting that way.
Yeah.
You're looking to create new habits, new reactions,
Okay.
which can be reprogrammed if you create new ways of seeing the situation. But if you see it the exact same way, it'll be very difficult for you to change the way you respond to it. Something has to change in order to see change.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
Yeah.